The Netflix and Kevin Smith's Masters of the Universe Revelation series that came out a few years ago was absolutely destroyed by fans who were upset with the direction they took the series in. And after all of the lies that Kevin Smith told us for that series, nobody really trusts him anymore. But now that they're doing a season 2 Revolution, the executive producer is trying desperately to win back fans by promising the sequel series will prominently feature He-Man. I have a few things to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, follow me on social media, and consider supporting through Patreon or via YouTube memberships. Now, I have little to no interest in this sequel series simply because I gave the first one a shot, and unfortunately, Kevin Smith did his absolute worst job possible, and I understand there are other creatives that helped make it the terrible product that it was, but it was just very disappointing, and of course many people felt the same way, judging by the fact that it faced major backlash online. The teasers and trailers were ratioed into oblivion. Also, the user scores on things like Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb are still abysmal, but in a declaration that perhaps more than any in recent memory needs to be seen to be believed, Netflix's Masters of the Universe Revolution's executive producer, Ted, has claimed that the animated sequel series, unlike its predecessor Revelations, will actually explore what it means to be He-Man. Now, Ted Biaselli has been pretty vocal about his experience with this team over the past year or so. He's been tweeting as much as possible about it, trying to get people hyped up, so it's no surprise that he is the one who is now coming out saying, hey, oh my gosh, it's actually going to explore what it means to be He-Man, but we do not trust you. We do not trust anybody associated with this, because this is exactly what we heard when it was time for Revelation. Okay, they promised us it was going to prominently feature He-Man, and it was not going to become the Teela series, and guess what? Kevin Smith laughed in our face because he killed He-Man not once but twice, and the fact that it also became the Teela show, and he told us to grow the F up when we didn't like the direction they went in. As you can see, it says right here, Kevin Smith continues to deny that it was a bait and switch and tells upset fans to grow the F up. This is not a way to gain a audience for your series. It is only a way to push people away, like me, who did originally give it a chance years ago. But it says the Netflix director of original series offered this tease of Revolution's narrative direction while speaking with SFX magazine in promotion for the series' upcoming January 25th premiere date. I don't think that this is going to do the numbers that they are expecting. The first series did not do the best from what we heard, and judging by the fact that a lot of people are not going to show up for this sequel series as they did for the first series, I just do not think that this is going to go positively for them. But it says, asked what fans could expect from their next trip to Eternia, he asserted this is a story that's going to explore what it means to be He-Man when a new responsibility falls on Adam. I would love a He-Man Masters of the Universe series, one that actually focused on this character, and yes, while he was still important to the plot, he still was not the lead character in every single episode, and people didn't like that. But then, making what can only be described as a Hail Mary for fan attention, he then answered his own question. We do it with an eye towards making sure fans know that He-Man is in 3.5 or 4 out of the 5 episodes, so he doesn't even know. He is He-Man in the show, he ultimately exclaimed, and unfortunately for him, it's unlikely that his desperate play will actually connect with any fans he's trying to appeal to, because unfortunately we have been let down multiple times at this point. Again, like I said, Kevin Smith told people to grow the F up, but, you know, after the first season bait and switch, he has already promised that He-Man will appear in almost every episode of Revolutions. I do not trust Kevin Smith. Many of you do not trust Kevin Smith, and there really is not a reason to at this point. And this right here is the exact reason why so many of the creatives affiliated with this project are now coming out and trying to get people hyped for this series, because back in 2021, when Revelation released, these were the scores. Of course, the critics absolutely loved it. The critics backed it. They said there was nothing wrong with it. It was a near perfect experience, which definitely was not the case. And, you know, I do not trust critics, and I most certainly wouldn't look at this and have any faith in it, but the average audience score was sitting at a measly 38%. I mean, that is an extremely low rating, and of course, they tried their very best to say, you know, we tried to give people something that was a little bit different, that was a little bit unique, but with over 5,000 ratings, it's clear this unique direction didn't really sit well with fans. And as you can see, people are still leaving reviews that are not very positive, and there are very few 4 and 5 stars here, but just reading a few, people are saying things like, no, He-Man, this show reminds me of how I felt after seeing The Last Jedi, truly awful. I feel cheated seeing this, worst animation ever. And I actually didn't think the animation was all that bad in this. I just think it was the storytelling. I really also like the voice cast. You know, we had Chris Wood, we had Lena Headey, we had Mark Hamill. I thought that it was a very solid voice cast. It just, unfortunately, really let me down in terms of the story and the direction that they decided to take these characters in. Worst show in the history of shows. Why do some people want to ruin a perfectly good story? Should have been honest and just called the show Tila, but I guess her turning out to such a terrible character made that difficult, throwing a tantrum in front of parents who just lost their child about the child they just lost. He's just sacrificed himself to save them, but apparently that means nothing. It was just a very unfortunate series, and while they're trying still desperately to get us excited for Revolution, I don't think that the numbers for this are going to be very good. I don't think they're going to be solid, and I think that after the years of lies and deception by people like Kevin Smith, a lot of people are going to opt to not watch this show and ultimately not support it. It will be interesting to see it come out in a few days and see the reception. I personally am not very excited for it, but you know, right now these executive producers are trying desperately to win fans back by promising that this time around it will be different with He-Man. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this and of course found it important and informative, make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.